What is up, guys? It is Simba here, and welcome back to the channel for another F1 24 League Racing video. And today we are back at Spa for the Belgian Grand Prix, but this time, as we nearly hit two cars there, we are here for the Mini Series in AEC, a tournament that I was competing in last time out on F1 23. We are on it, we're back at it on F1 24. So if you're looking forward to this one and another race at Spa, make sure you subscribe for more League Racing content. We're nearly at 300 subscribers, and I would love to get there by the end of the year, which we should be able to do. And as you can see in the background, we are on our first lap of the session, and we go P5 with a 41.5.
Was it?
0.5. I'm put up all tyres. I'm P5.
What?
I'm pretty happy with that.
So the session has started off pretty well. We go P5 and we're going to try and go again. And you can hear me talking away with my teammate for this race, SLR Medal. We were teammates back in SLR and we're doing it in AEC as well, which is quite a nice moment for both of us. And you can see we are in the multiplayer car, as apparently thanks to the new patch on F1 24 that came out a couple of days ago, the equal cars are glitched. So apparently the Alpine car is the fastest car now, and as a result, that is why we're in the multiplayer car, and that's why our car is orange, because FGE is orange mainly. So with that out of the way, the much needed explanation out of the way, here we are on our best lap of the session. As you can see, we have gained nearly 2/10 in the first sector alone as we go swinging the car through Le Combe. You could just send it through here, but you still got to be careful on the throttle, making sure we carry as much minimum speed as we can. And as you can see, we have lost a few hundreds, but we managed to get away with it on that occasion. Now, going in towards No Name fourth gear, we turn it a bit too early, we lose the rear end. And that has cost us a good 1/10.5, maybe even nearly 2/10 of a second. But we're going to press on with the lap anyway, because as you can see, we are still nearly 3/4 of a tenth up, so we might be able to try and find a bit more time on this lap. As we're really struggling through that chicane there, just couldn't really quite nail the turning point as we go through Stavelot's 1 and 2, still just about up on the delta as we're using the overtake button down towards Blanchimont. We're marginally up now, we're actually down on the delta, and what you're going to see here is another case of a poor decision. You saw that in the last video in Spa. Here's another one for you. So as you can see, we're half a tenth down.
Where's that 0.5 peak
as Medal asks us a question about what position we are. We go through the final chicane, we're down on the delta, and somehow we are actually going to be allowed to improve,
P9.
albeit by a few thousandths of a second. And we don't have enough time to do another lap. So we should have just boxed and try again. And as you can see, we skipped to the end of the session, 16 seconds to go, and we're doing our best racing down the back straight towards the bus stop chicane. But as you can see, 8 seconds left, and by the time we get to the bus stop chicane to start the final lap, we are gonna run out of time. And yeah, there you go, we probably need an extra 10 seconds, and that is our qualifying session over. And we were P9 at the time. Unfortunately for us, we are down in P13 for this race. The 2/10 that we dropped effectively, I believe it would have gotten us just into the top 10. So I'm not too mad about being P13. Qualifying pace wasn't really a strength of ours around here, but we're still in a points paying position, so let's start off the mini series with a good race.
Yeah, a lot of people going mediums, yeah.
Yeah, be on the hard speed. Oh dear.
I'll do mediums and then you can do hards. Yeah, that's fine.
I'm on mediums, right?
So here we go then, time for the start of the race. No formation lap, we're diving straight into this, and we have made a last minute call to go on medium tyres, and we're going to see if it pays off for us in the Belgian Grand Prix to start the mini series. And we are underway for the Belgian Grand Prix, as we are going to absolutely send one up the inside into turn 1, and somehow we don't make contact as the car in front of us, I believe that's Bobbert, right in front of us, has a bit of a squirm at the exit of the first corner, and somehow we've gained 3 places in the first corner. But here comes Radius right alongside us now, looking to try and make some progress. We defend the inside line as we've got TTM Lucas right in our gearbox as well, going into Le Combe. We hug the inside line, and Radius muscles his way past us round the outside. We back off going into the exit of Lacombe as Typical gets squeezed off by Bobbert, and I believe he's got damage. So we're going to try and lock in P10 and get ahead of the FRT driver, but going into No Name.
Mate, do you want to leave a bit of space?
Flares are already kicking off with me as I'm
avoiding
getting pretty
everyone
annoyed
else
with
more
Typical.
than
It
just
just
driving.
looked like he didn't bother leaving any space on the outside line through No Name, and we have to settle in behind him. We are still P10, but he's got front wing damage. And you can hear Medal also in the background saying that he feels like he's just avoiding everyone as it's all kicking off on the opening lap. You can see here at the end of the lap, E.T. Andrea is trying to do his 2015 Max Verstappen impression onto us as he tried to pass us through Blanchemont and into the chicane. I have absolutely no idea what happened. I believe we've made contact, but speaking of contact, Typical is going to send it to turn 1.
Typical, mate. Oh my god. What have I just witnessed from
Sorry,
the
mate.
FRT driver?
The reaction is always on point from yours truly, as Typical
With penalties in this,
sends
so I
one
wouldn't
up
worry,
the
mate. I wouldn't worry
inside
too much.
into the first corner, and Radius loses out as
I've
DRS
seen
is
genuine
enabled
terror
as it's the
on
new
the
rule in
second
F1 in 2024.
Yep.
DRS
Could
enabled
happen.
on the second lap rather than the third lap, and Radius returns the
What about it?
favour
Do your own
to
race.
Typical by going up the inside into the com, and it's clear that Typical
don't
is
worry
struggling
about that,
in the corners thanks to that
Can't
right
move on.
front end plate being slightly damaged. So it's up to us to try and follow Radius through and pass Typical, but it won't be easy as we do get our first warning now
Oh,
for track
wow.
limit as we
to
follow him
push Typical
through
through the chicane.
the bus stop chicane. And that's not the only problem we've got. We've also got Shazoo Venom, who is literally right up our gearbox as well. So I was thinking at this point, I'm hoping to pass Typical and put a car in between myself and the Shazoo driver. As you can see, we're using the battery. Typical is harvesting like he was in Jeddah in our first league race, and there we go, straight past him. But we get our second warning for track limits, and it's only lap 3. And if you saw the last race in Belgium, you know, we were really struggling with Eau Rouge and Radion as we kept cutting the inside through there. So one more warning, and that's a 3-second penalty. And that's us risking us dropping down the order as onto lap 4. We're on the back of Radius now. And you saw there, he had a massive, massive drift into La Source. And now we're going to try and see if we can size up a move. But once again, the white arrows in front of you show that Shazoo Venom is right on our gearbox once again. And at this point, I was thinking of passing Radius and punishing for that mistake. But at this point, I just want to try and let Venom go. I know he's faster. He was comfortably faster than us on last game, and I don't think it'll be much different by the time league racing starts on this game as well. So we're going to let Venom go. We're going to see if we can try and use him to carve our way through the field a little bit. And, you know, it's still lap 4. There are 18 laps to go in this race, and strategy is going to be a key factor as everyone is on medium tyres and on the softs as well. And speaking of the softs, we've got TF10 Flow in front of us on lap 5. He qualified second, in fairness to him, so he nailed qualifying, but unfortunately the race pace doesn't seem to be there as the softs might be going off already. We passed Flo, who was our former FG teammate, and unfortunately we just don't manage to try and make a move on Radius. By the time we got past Flo, it was too late, and Venom has passed him as
Can't
well,
give
so
him a
he's put
reason.
one car in
It's a
between
something.
us, which is
You
ironic
were saying
because we
that
were
they're
hoping to do
fighting
the
really
opposite
hard.
at the start
So
of the
that-
race
those are the top
when
two
we were
then,
ahead of him.
Gabor
So we're
and
going to try and
B.
repass him, which
Yeah, I think they might be
is
on top two.
ridiculously easy.
They were hard. I
Saving
saw that.
ERS
Or maybe I'll
and
stay well behind.
having
It's-
DRS on this game is really easy.
Yeah, that's too
so
far behind,
if you
actually.
save battery, you're sorted.
you're
As
right.
someone who's not sorted
Boots is dead.
is PSR Boots, and he's gone straight into the wall, and we've got a virtual safety car already. So we're already up into P4, as you can see as well. So that means that the soft runners
I mean,
have
going
booked
off
really
Bahrain,
early
though,
for the hard
it
tyres,
could
as the hard
change.
tyres
Very
are
weird.
very durable on this year's game. So they're going
And
to use
almost a
the
monumental
OP
fuck
hard
up.
tyre to get to the end of the race, and they should do pretty comfortably.
Yeah,
but
I'm
as a
really
result of
glad
that,
that I'm P4
it means
right
we are
now.
P4
With the
in
other
this
stuff.
race. So if we get past Radius, who has another moment through the first corner,
drifting
we
for the
will
first
be
corner.
running in the top 3, which would be pretty nice. Of course, it is the first round of a pre-season championship, but you know, we want to try and race as much as we can. We want to try and get as much confidence as we can before the season starts, and that's not just in AEC, that's in other leagues as well as we get past Radius. But Venom is looking for 2 in 1 here as he goes down the inside, going into the con. We just go too wide. And that just gives him the place on a silver platter. And we're down in P4 again. And unfortunately, going into the try-hander.
Oh, why do I keep getting hit in the rear?
And unfortunately, we've gone for a bit of a spin, which is a little bit painful, a bit of a brutal reminder of Zandvoort last season as we get pushed off the track by Andrea through no name as he claims P9. And that was really, really annoying. You could hear me saying that I've been hit in the rear, but to be honest, there's nothing much that Raiders could do there. By the time we made the contact, I was already in a half spin, so that's my bad. And we have got to try and get those places back. So yeah, we've lost a good 4 or 5 seconds around the time where we need to be pitting. Lucas flies off the bus stop chicane, which was a little bit random, but we're up into P9 now as Andrea goes up the inside of ART Jake, who's actually in his first no assists race. So fair play to him, he's doing his part, he's already got a penalty, and we're hoping to get him out of the way because I don't think staying behind him would be very riveting for this video or our result in this race. So we're going to drain the battery once again, and you can see his teammate Tech has got no DRS at all. So can we make the 2-in-1 overtake going into the con? We go very, very deep, and we somehow avoid a penalty. And we're going to try and stay side by side, but we get pushed off the track again. And his teammate Tech gets through as well. The newest signing for AERT. And I actually met Tech in someone's open lobby stream, and he seemed pretty quick, and it's quite nice to see him in AEC up here. So fair enough, good to see people making progress around us, but we need to start making progress of our own if we're going to try and get a top 6 in this race. So Tech goes through with DRS, Jake is harvesting, and we're going to fly straight past him. And we're not going to try the double overtake attempt again, as we're going to settle down in P8 this time. So
we'll just see what
you can hear me in the background also talking to Medal about strategy, as we are nearing the pit stop window now. So it's important to think about that as well. As we move on to lap 10, we are currently in P8, and we are looking to try and catch up to Andrea, Venom, and Radius again. After losing a good 4 or 5 seconds.
If you want to do it,
it was quite frustrating, but we've got the bit between our teeth, and we're going to get on with it. We're going to pass Tech very easily with DRS. DRS and overtake is just so powerful on this game as Lucas leaves the session. Medal was talking about pitting first, and I was like, okay, that's fine. You can do that. I'm going to react to those in front of me, which is pretty much my usual strategy when it comes to the pit stop phase around AEC. So up to P7 we go. Still a pretty decent race. Pace was feeling pretty good on the mediums, and we're going to skip to the end of the next lap. You can see Shazoo Lurch. I completely forgot to mention this at the start. He started on the hard tyre, and he was last. So the fact that we're behind him is a massive inconvenience. So we lost a lot of track position, not just to Radius and Venom, but we also lost out to Lurch as well, who is going to be on fresh mediums by the end of the race. As you can see, I am scrambling with the MFD, changing it to hard tyres because I didn't go for the softer option, and you'll see in a bit why it was actually crucial not to do that. So into the pits we go, onto the hard tyres, and we're going to carry on pushing for the final 10 laps and see what we can get out of it. And coming out of the pits, we are right behind Radius and Typical, who had to stop for damage. So we've managed to overcut Jake as well, so we're putting ourselves in a pretty decent position. And that probably means that the overcut is going to be pretty powerful. As you can see, Radius passing Typical in the background, who also has a 3-second time penalty. But now we're going to have to try and pass Typical. And if you remember last season in AEC Kota, that didn't really end well, and that is still fresh in the mind. So we're going to see if we can try and pass him, but unfortunately,
Venom's got ahead as well. Not ideal.
We've been overcut by Lurch and Venom, so track position is not really working out for us. And that's made things so much harder because they're on 1 lap fresher tyres. Obviously, on F1 23, obviously having 1 lap fresher tyres does play a part, and I'm pretty sure it'll play the same part here as well. So we'll have a lot of overtaking to do, as we had a look at Typical going into the com. Obviously nothing doing, we're not close enough to make the move happen. So we're going to try and do it this time. DRS
Cool, mate.
wide open, going into the com.
Yeah, let's get past this. An old friend of ours first.
And there you go, you can hear me say, let's try and pass an old friend of ours down the inside into the com. We're side by side, we have the outside line, and we played that beautifully.
Okay, you know what? It's actually possible to go side by side with this guy.
And my reaction speaks for itself as we pull off a very nice overtake on typical, and we're up into P11. So we might still have a pretty solid chance of getting back into the top 10, but unfortunately, that's not happening. You see, we don't have DRS, and we are running out of battery, which is quite impressive on this year's game, considering how ERS is very easy to manage. But I was trying to push as much as we can to try and get back in DRS.
I've somehow managed to run out of battery. Smartest guy on the grid.
And unfortunately, that hasn't quite worked out as we've lost
Super smart, mate.
the 2 places we've gained before. Typical gets back through, and crucially, that releases tech as well on the soft tyres, and the soft tyres are going to be so much quicker at this phase of the race. You can see he's already pulled off a good 2.4 second margin to myself and typical. So we're really not in a good situation here, as we're going to repass him for the 3rd time in this race, and that is us up into P11. But I was thinking about P8 at some point in this race, but someone's had a bit of a moment, and that is Flo in front of us, and he might be struggling on his hard tyres. He pitted probably around lap 5 for the hards, so our tyres are a good 6 laps fresher, so we should be able to get onto the back of him pretty soon. And we are going to take our time making this move. We were feeling a lot quicker, but we're going to wait for DRS to get detected for us to pass him, because we don't want him repassing us on the Kemmel straight, because we'll still be behind him. So on to lap 17, we waited our time, and now we're going to use the battery to fly past him, and that is us up into P10 again in this Belgian Grand Prix. So we're looking decent for a top 10 finish here. We just need to keep it clean and avoid a penalty, and hopefully we can try and gain more places, but we need things to happen in front of us.
I need them to start fighting up ahead as well. It's not happening, is it?
And you can hear me echoing the same sentiment. We need something to happen in front of us if we want to gain any more places, because we kind of lost touch with those cars around us. Oh, but Radius has had a spin through Lacombe, and that is us up into P9 now.
P9 we go.
And we are literally just under 4 seconds behind Tech as well. And that might come into play later on if we can try and catch him again. And Venom has also had a moment. I don't know where, but he's had a moment somewhere going into the 3rd sector, and you can see we're just draining everything in the battery to try and get into the DRS range that we missed a couple of laps ago. And by the time we get to the bus stop chicane, yes, we will have the rear wing open, and it is clear now that the soft tyres are really starting to struggle towards the end point of this race. So our tyres are in much better shape.
I've got a clip of him now, literally just ramming into the wall.
And you can hear Medal talking about someone ramming him into the wall, and that was typical. I think he had a spin. I think he ended up spinning into the wall, and from Medal's POV, it looked like he just tried to crash into the wall on purpose, which is quite funny. But typical not having a good race, as Venom has a huge moment through P1, and unfortunately we're right behind him at a very unconventional part of the racetrack. And that means if we do pass him, we're risking losing a lot of time to Tech in front of us, because we are paying attention to that 3-second gap that he's got ahead of us. And at this point, I'm thinking that, you know what, we might have missed it. We might have missed the chance to overtake Tech on track thanks to the penalties. Obviously, he's too far ahead at this stage, but we're now finally going to pass Venom for good. And that is us up into P8 in this Belgian Grand Prix. And we've got 2 laps now to try and catch Tech, whose soft tyres are definitely going off at this stage. And I think there's still some decent life in these tyres. So we're going to try and absolutely send it, turn it up into hot lap, and see if we can catch him. And I can tell you that we do not get that dreaded 3rd warning, and we're going to keep on pushing towards the end of the race. You can see we skipped to the last lap of the race. Our teammate, Medal, never really recovered from the pit stop phase. He lost out quite badly with fighting with Jake, who was obviously struggling for pace in his first no-assist race. So, yeah, Medal currently in P12, I think. And, yeah, we're just going to keep on pushing. You can see the gap is coming down between myself and Tech. It's even coming down to Lurch, but unfortunately, you know, losing that much time at the second half of the race really cost us our position to him. And you can see we're in hot lap as well, trying to make sure we stay within the 3-second window. We also had Andrea to deal with as well on the soft, and he was looking pretty quick. So we've got ourselves a decent margin to the cars behind us as well. Gabor wins the race for NVR. Shock Horror, they're going to be the team to beat again. But for us, it's going to be P8 on track, and it's going to turn into P7.
We take that. Oh, I'm happy with P7, man. All things considered. Even with a cheeky
Mate,
spin.
what's the point of me setting you an objective if you just absolutely miss it?
What's this man talking about an objective?
Yeah, that's a
What
bit though.
objective? Bro, I finished 7th. I was 13th. I spun. This man's tripping.
And me being confused about whatever Mark Priestley's waffling about is just fantastic. But I digress. The first race in the mini series ends with us finishing P7 with medal in P12. So both cars into the points, which is all well and good. I feel like a top 6, maybe even a top 5 was possible without the spin, as Bobbert had a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Unfortunately, he sped by 1 mile an hour, which is really unlucky. But regardless, the pace feels good. I missed round 2, so round 3 will be in Qatar on Thursday. Make sure you stay tuned for that. And that is the end of today's video, so make sure you subscribe for more league racing content. And as always, I'll see all of you in the next one.